Well, Steve, let me quote you. If the words and actions of Jesus are truly what compel us and move us and prompt us, then a church that doesn't know anything about you or what's going on in your life or your pain, your weaknesses, your triumphs, your joys, your successes, a church like that, according to Jesus, isn't much of a church at all. What a great message. And I love that you've slowly kind of, we are unpacking what it means to be this missional community, which is the first part of our mission statement, that we are a missional community, or we attempt to develop missional communities. This is really difficult.
Yeah.
First question for you.
Yes, please.
Thanks for being here.
That's not a question. That's a statement.
I know. First of all, how dare you? I got a question for you. Well, let's stick with egg casserole. Is that kosher? Would that have been served in those homes you were talking about in Acts 2? What?
Depends on what's in it.
I don't know what's in an egg casserole.
Also, a lot of Gentiles were moving on over, so the kosher thing probably wasn't that necessary.
What do you bring to neighborhood church, by the way?
You need water bottles, napkins, my house every other month.
I think we're all a little disappointed. If we were going to invite you
So
over
are the
to
people at my neighborhood church. I talk about how much I love them, and they're pretty indifferent toward me. So
I'm sure they are. In my neighborhood church, since we meet online for neighborhood church, I get to bring whatever
you have in
dishes
the fridge.
I have, that I want to eat, and it's
so you
great.
don't get delicious egg casseroles made by other people.
Yes, I do, because my wife makes.
Christine's
Yeah, it's excellent. Hey, let me ask you another question. You talked about how the early church wasn't just about attending services, but about sharing life together. To put that in a 21st century context, why do you think it's so hard for people today to truly be seen and known in a church community?
Yeah, I think the tyranny of the urgent gets in the way a lot of times, like all the things that we think we have to do right now. And I think our priorities easily get out of whack. And I'm not just saying other people, this is true of my family, but every time we've walked through a gospel lifestyle group together, every time I've led one, when we get to the community week, we all look back on times where we had that sense of community, and everyone goes, man, I just really miss
I wish that. I wish we still had that.
so much. And then it's like, well, what's preventing us from doing that now? It's this and this and this and this. Back when we had that, that was the priority. We loved it so much, it was the priority. We recognized the need for it, but it's just not the priority. And so I think it takes a reordering of things and a concentrated effort on making sure that we're doing what's best for us. I mean, we try to eat healthy, we try to stay active because we know those things are good for us. One of the best things for us would be to be connected to other people, and sometimes so many things get in the way, preconceived ideas, or notions of what people think about us.
What did you call it? The tyranny of the urgent? Mm-hmm. Or just busyness, maybe?
Yeah, busyness and yeah.
I caught myself pulling into my driveway, and I saw my neighbor next door who likes to have 20-minute conversations, right? And I figured out a way to time my exit out of the car in such a way. I'm a pastor, you guys. This is how my life is. That's how.
I don't think people are going to feel bad for you right now.
No. I'm just saying, like, even. I mean, I can only imagine that some of you recognize this type of behavior where I slipped out of the car quickly in order to get in the house without having to connect with my neighbor. What did I have on my calendar? I had 25 minutes easily to say hello and to connect with somebody who lives literally next door to me. I'm confessing right now. Thank you for being here. And tell me what.
Is our confessional?
Yeah, I know.
One of the things that's so interesting to me in situations like that, because I tend to have some of those same moments, is every time beforehand I'm like, I don't want to. This is going to be exhausting or tiring or uncomfortable. But afterward, almost like 100% of the time, I'm like, I'm so glad that I spent that time. I learned something about that person, or I engaged, or there's something about when you connect with another image bearer of God, and there's depth to that connection. That's just it's vibrant, it's lively, like things feel like they're flourishing in that moment, and we avoid it because of our, whether it's ego, pride, busyness, or the reality of like we have things to do. But again, I think it's just prioritizing what Jesus says is best for us.
Yeah. One of the members in our church told me this past week that it's really, people don't just want to be listened to, they want to be heard. They don't want to be noticed, they want to be seen. And I think we miss some of that throughout. I had one interaction at Kohl's doing a return. I was going to be in and out, and it's very quick. You just show them your receipt and you're out, you know. And I thought, let me go slow. Let me take a page from what I'm learning at church, what I'm learning about Jesus, and let me just be slow. So I said, hey, how's it going? How are you? Marcia, I think her name was. She goes, I am doing so great. And I said, I have not heard a so great in a long time. Tell me a little bit about why your day is so great. And she told me about how her kids are healthy and how she has a job and how just has been a really good day. And I said, well, thank you so much for sharing that. You made my day. She goes, you made my day. And I thought, this took 40 seconds more than I would if I had just shown my receipt. And it made such a difference. And I think that's some of the things that we should definitely be having at church.
100%.
I'm very good at high-fiving and then moving along versus stopping and saying, no, really.
Really, how are you doing? Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, I had someone the other day, I had some stuff going on, and they asked me, like, hey, they kind of pulled me aside, how are you doing? And it made all the difference in the world that someone, like, you talk about being seen. I think it's a travesty that how infrequent it is that happens within the church community. And I'm not blaming Cornerstone or just saying that's just on Cornerstone. I think that's the nature of American Christianity right now. So,
well, let's turn the tables. In a culture where a culture that values independence, how can we encourage one another to embrace the idea that we actually need that I need you, and I need to be seen by you. I need to be heard by you.
I think it's we talk a lot about surrender and submission. I think independence is an excuse to not admit that we are necessarily dependent on other people. Like, it is necessary that we are dependent on other people regardless of who you are. You have to be dependent on people at some point. And independence says, no, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to do my thing my way, how I want, when I want. And it's very inward focused. Dependence is actually it creates space for blessing for other people and from other people and toward other people, and so I think it's a submission and surrender of ego, of self, of my will, and starts looking more through the lens of what's God's will for this situation, and yeah, we value it. I love my independence, but oftentimes that ends up becoming like a ego pride thing for me more than anything else.
So. And it's isolating, and I like that. It's not just that we're calling our church to be a blessing to others. We're calling people to be blessed by others too. So that's really great. Well, let me put a question here on the screen that you can use to go a little bit further in exploring all the things that we're learning through this really important series. I'm going to leave it up for a few minutes, and I want you to turn to someone, okay, and attempt to answer it, or answer it in the chat with others who are attending church online with you, or throw it in a group text to talk about it with friends. Or if you are by yourself, write it at the top of the page for today's journal entry. And the question is this: what's one step that you can take this week to move from just attending church to truly being the church in your everyday life? I'm so glad you were here. I'll see you next time.